Welcome back to the Citizens Fancast. As always, I am your host, Evan, and today we'll be covering the Newcastle match, and that's really about it, to be honest. A few other miscellaneous things that happened in the last week or so, but not much going on in this portion of the season. So no game to preview this week, as we don't play Spurs for a while yet in the FA Cup, and we got a little bit of a break here before we play another match. So thank you guys for tuning in. I apologize for missing last week. For anybody who doesn't know, I had COVID and I was still recovering. So actually, after I recorded the last episode, a couple hours after, I started to feel absolutely awful. So yeah, at least it was after that episode, so I won't have to miss a couple in a row. And with that being said, probably no episode next week either, just with us not playing for a while. So thank you for tuning in. I'll try not to get sick again. I feel like I've been sick almost every week for like the past 2 months. So thank you guys for bearing with me and listening along during that. I think I'm feeling pretty good right now. I still have a little bit of a cough, but other than that, I am good. So last week, what we missed, or what I missed covering the Huddersfield match, 5-0 win. De Bruyne returned, Doku returned, an assist for De Bruyne, a goal for Doku. So other than that, not too much to talk about. Obviously, it was a dominant match, but I don't want to get into that one too much, just because it's kind of old news and not really anything that is worth covering when we beat a team from the second division. So a good win. Obviously moved on to the next round. We drew Spurs, but I will talk about that more a little bit later. So the Newcastle match, what a wild ride, what a crazy game, what an awesome game, and just incredible. An incredible finish, and yeah, that's the city we've been waiting for, right? I feel like there was a time for years where you could never count us out at the end of a match. If we were down or if we were tied, that we'd always make a comeback. Kind of around 2017, 2018, around in those years. And obviously we've been extremely successful since. We were just leading in the past couple of years, so we wouldn't have to worry, but that wasn't the case on Saturday. We were down 2-1. On comes De Bruyne, changes the match entirely. But I'll talk about that a little bit more. I want to kind of start from the beginning with the entire match. So obviously we won 3-2. But the lineup: Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Ake, Guardiola, Rodri, Kovacic, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Doku, and Alvarez. So Doku making his return back to the starting lineup. Not yet for De Bruyne, but it didn't stop him from making an impact on the game. So goals from Bernardo Silva with an excellent backheel finish in the 26th minute, an assist from Walker. De Bruyne with no other way to describe it other than a De Bruyne-esque goal in the 74th with an assist from Rodri. And then a goal I've watched probably 50 times right now since it's happened. Oscar Bobb with his first career Premier League goal, assist from De Bruyne. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So rough start to the match. Obviously, I'll get into it right now. So start of the match, Ederson goes down. You could tell he's physically hurt. Hard to get back up. He almost gave away a goal because he was in pain, but it's the same crap. It's the same crap as a couple weeks ago with Stones. If it's obviously offside, put your flag up. And I understand the rules, let it go, blah, 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 but we keep seeing players get injured. And my biggest issue with it is every single time if it's close, and even if our players are onside, flag up. Every time. No doubt. They are always just putting the flag up immediately when it's us. So why is the standard different? And I'm not trying to say conspiracies or anything like that. It's a simple fact. Go back, watch the games. If it's a close scenario, 9 times out of 10, the flag is going up when it's our players. And when it's other teams, they could be off by a mile and they're not calling it. So stop the collisions. Stop this crap. It's just I'm sick of seeing our players go down. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter. The two goals that went in, Ederson wasn't saving them. Ortega couldn't do anything on them. And Ortega's a great backup. I'll take him. Honestly, I'd take Ortega probably over about 17 to 18 starting keepers in the Premier League. Uh, and that honestly could still be a low number as well. So he's the perfect backup to have. And it's just frustrating, though. A referee, your main goal is to protect the players. That's why they're there. That's why the rules are there. That's why we have what we have for rules is to protect the players. I understand, like, yes, you have to officiate the game, but the reason officials are there is to protect the players. You have no rules. You're going to have, players just drop kicking each other and just, playing like absolute idiots, right? So maybe not drop kicking each other. That was maybe a little too far, but you get my point, right? Obviously, like the players are there to, or the refs are there to make sure the players can do their job, right? The ref's job is to make sure the game runs smoothly and to officiate in a manner that he can keep the players safe. But they don't do that. That doesn't happen in this league. We just do whatever. So it's annoying. It's frustrating. I think Ederson's okay. I think from what I've heard, it was just kind of a cut on his leg. He should be back. On the sideline, he was looking okay. No crutches, no braces, anything like that. So hopefully he's all right. Obviously, he's got a little bit of time to rest up as well. So I wouldn't expect him to miss any matches, but it's annoying. It's frustrating. I'm sick of seeing our players go down to stupid injuries that should never even happen in the first place. So I don't think I've ever been that frustrated about an injury just because of the circumstances. Maybe De Bruyne in the Champions League, that not even this year. I think it was that first year. Just the Champions League final, sorry, against Chelsea is just a dirty play and by a dirty player, but I'm not going to get into that now. If you don't know, go watch. If you don't know the player, it's obvious that he's a dirty player just with how he plays. So not going to name him, leave him unnamed. You should know who it is. So anyway, moving on. Bernardo's goal was incredible. And, I don't like to sit here and dissect goals that much because it's not that entertaining. We all saw it. We all know what happened, right? But what I do want to point out is, every part of that was perfect. Every single part of that buildup was perfect. Doku with a perfect pass out to Walker, Walker with a perfect pass to Bernardo Silva, and obviously the finish by Bernardo Silva was intelligent, creative, and next level. I mean, all three goals could honestly be up for goal of the month. They were just that great. So hats off to them, to all three goal scorers, because they did an incredible job. And it's just, there's not a lot to say. It was an incredible goal. But yeah, that's what we needed, right? Get off strong, start strong, get a goal, but it turned around, obviously. Newcastle got one. They got a second. Very quick. 2 quick goals on the counterattack, just with speed. Really, in that first half, Isak and Gordon were just incredible. And I don't know if it was our defense playing poorly as much as just, their speed is so hard. The one thing I want to say is just a little bit lazy on the counterattacks. Walker jogging back, and when there's that much speed, you can't have your fastest defender kind of just taking it easy and strolling back. You got to be full sprint back to try to prevent these goals from happening. I don't want to get too down on Walker. I don't like doing that. I don't like going after players, but it's frustrating. I've noticed it in quite a few matches this year where he has that lazy backtrack. He gets up wide on the right and will lose the ball, or he'll lose the ball, and it's jogging back. It's no urgency to get back. And like I said, I don't want to be too hard on him because it was okay, and he did absolutely fine in the second half. But it's just got to be a little bit better for me. And I know he's got some personal issues going on, and it seems like he's probably had those going on all year. I don't know if that's what's affecting him or not. It's just, it's got to be a little bit better. So if it is the personal issues, I understand it. I get it. These players are human. Like you're at the end of the day, you're still human. So I completely understand that. It's just, I hope he's not playing this way the entire season. That's all. But the way Newcastle played in the first half, and mostly in the first half, because the second half they started to sit back a little bit more. They were a little more pressing. So pressing us when we had the ball, left space, left gaps, particularly for Foden. Foden had so much space in the channel between their midfield and their defense. It's a play style that suits us when teams come after us a little bit, when we don't have to attack 8, 9, 10 defenders at a time, a little more space for our attackers to operate. I think we ended with 27 shots. If that's not telling, I don't know what is. It just kind of shows, when you come after us, it gives us more freedom. It allows us to, people say City play in a boring way, and I think what they're seeing is not necessarily that we're playing in a boring way. It's just we're forced to sit there and possess the ball and work so hard to break down the opposition that at the end of the day, when you especially when we can pull off the win as we did. But I think that's a style that suits Newcastle. They should probably be better than they are at it. I think they at times need to stray away from that, but that's their own personal choice, and I'm not here to critique them because we got the 3 points and we've gotten 6 points against them this year. So it felt like we were going to be able to get back in the match when we were down. But it's always still that counterattack that worries you. It seems like those are the only ways we're really allowing goals. For some reason, every single team, when they have their shots against us, they seem to have these worldly shots that just come out of nowhere and score where our keepers can't do a thing. So a little bit irritating. I don't know why it always happens. It's frustrating to watch, but it is what it is. I don't have an explanation for it other than players rise to the occasion against us. We're the team to beat, so they're going in and attacking and being more aggressive and going to create more of those chances against us than they are against other teams because it's needed. So first half we were down, but bright spots, like I said, I already mentioned Foden getting in the space. Rodri was good. On a yellow card, though, made me a little bit nervous. He ended up being okay. I thought maybe he should come out. He seemed like he was losing his head a little bit. Diaz was losing his head a little bit. We needed players to just get their head in the game. Second half, we came out much stronger. I don't think anybody played poor in the second half at all. A couple players played poor in the first half. I kind of mentioned Walker, and I know him and Doku had a big part of that first goal. It just seemed kind of like an off day for Doku, and I think he's just getting back to full speed and everything like that. It felt like he was forcing it a little bit when he didn't necessarily need to. So him and Walker a little bit off in the first half, but it kind of felt like we were coming back, we were going to be okay, and then De Bruyne came in, and I was hoping when he came in he would do exactly what he did. There was a ton of space down the left. Bernardo wasn't necessarily filling it at all times. He was playing a little more centrally. So He filled that space on the left. Before that, Walker had been filling it, and he just kind of hung out there a lot of the match. He felt the space, filled the space. He was a lot more dangerous, playing balls in, crossing balls in, and just having the ability to create chances. And that he did. A goal, an assist, exactly what we needed. He rose to the occasion, and he basically went out there and won us the match. And it's good to have him back. I know a lot of people said he's not going to be a fix-all once he comes back. If he can do that every match, he's going to be a fix-all for us, because that was an incredible performance. And it's so crazy to talk about how incredible his performance was, how great his passes were, all the chances he created. He was only out there for 20 minutes, but 25 almost with stoppage time, and he put in one of the greatest substitute performances I've seen. That was just in that short of amount of time. He honestly could have been man of the match, but Rodri was incredible. For me, he was our man of the match. Just incredible for 90 minutes or incredible for 20, right? You got to go with 90. So it's so weird because I know how good De Bruyne is and how he's, in my opinion, he's the best player in the world right now, and I'm not saying the best player ever. I believe he's the greatest midfielder ever. I believe he's the greatest Premier League player ever, in all honesty. And he showed that this weekend. But what I will say is, right now, I think he's the best player in the world, and his closest competition is Rodri. So we're in a great position to have two top-level, incredible players that we can just rely on to win us matches. So De Bruyne was incredible, obviously late. Oscar Bobb comes in, a little bit of an interesting choice, but Pep showing his trust in him, and it paid off. Oscar Bobb, his first Premier League goal, a touch around the keeper that looked instinctual, and for a player at his level, for that to just come instinctual. He was fouled, didn't go down. Again, 90% of those players go down in that scenario. They're taking the foul, we're getting the penalty. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he finished that off. I'm confident we would have scored the penalty anyway, but for him to stay up and just have a finish like that is incredible. Like I've said, I've watched the goal probably 50 times now, on repeat a lot of times. It's such a good goal for him, and I'm so proud. I love seeing these young players play. Him, Rico Lewis. It's just players like that, and I was the same way with Foden. I still am the same way with Foden. You love seeing these young players come up through your club and just come into the senior team and be able to contribute and be players that we can rely on week in and week out. And it took Foden some time to get there, and Rico Lewis came out of nowhere last year and was that player, and now Oscar Bobb is showing that he can be that guy too. So it sounds like he might be signing a new contract. I hope he does. I'd love for him to continue playing for us for years to come. So a great match, an exciting match. I was yelling and screaming the whole time, and it was it's fun to watch. It's fun to win matches like that. You don't like allowing 2 goals, and it's fun to go and win 3-0 or 2-0 or grind out a 1-0. But with that level of intensity and everything like that, and in a match that wasn't necessarily a must win, there's plenty of time left, but it's a match that was definitely winnable, and those are the ones you want to win. You don't want to drop points to a team that we're better than. They have a lot of injuries, so it's something that we should be able to win. Incredible match. Like I said, Rodri, man of the match, and yeah, I don't have a lot more to say than that. It was just fun to watch, fun to be a City fan this weekend. Obviously, United drew again. Liverpool didn't play this weekend. Arsenal didn't play this weekend, so they will play next weekend, and hopefully we can stay on pace with them. Maybe they'll drop some more points, so that would be excellent. As far as the injury report, I officially, the first time this year, De Bruyne is not on my injury report, so good to see. I already went over Ederson. I think he'll be okay. Haaland's still out. It sounds like he'll be back for the Spurs match. Akanji out as well. I haven't heard a lot on that. Originally, it sounded like it was an illness, and then it sounded like it might be an injury instead. I would expect him back for Spurs. In all honesty, I think everyone's going to be healthy except for maybe Stones by the Spurs match. So we're in a good spot. Not a ton of injuries. We're getting all our guys back. De Bruyne was incredible, and we only had him for 20 minutes. Now let's put him out there for 90 and put Haaland out there with him as well, and it'll be really fun for us and not for the opponents. And I think the second De Bruyne came back, there were comments. Klopp made a comment, and I've seen comments elsewhere about De Bruyne being back and people starting to worry. And I think that worrying is coming, and I think teams are already starting to shake a little because he's back, and it doesn't look like he skipped a beat, and he looks better than he was when he left. I know he was struggling with an injury for months at the end of the year, and it finally gave out in that final. And then I know some people said we forced him back early at the beginning of the year. I don't think so. I think it was a freak thing, but he looks good. He looks refreshed. He somehow looks like he aged backwards during this time. So I'm excited for the rest of the year. It should be a lot of fun. And let's go get ourselves back-to-back trebles. It sounds like a good time for me. So as far as injuries, that's all we got there. Rumors, I don't see us signing any players. We've signed a few young players. I don't have a lot of information on that. I just don't know a ton about them, but I believe we've signed 2 young players to contracts, and Zach Steffen, who has not featured with us this year, went out on loan last year, transferred out to Colorado in the MLS. So wish him all the best. He did well for us a lot in his time, but like I said, he didn't have a spot in our squad anymore. So I had actually kind of forgot that he was even with our squad. Still no movement on the Phillips side. I would assume that will happen before the end of this window. Obviously, we're halfway through the month right now, so we'll see if that comes true or not. But I'd expect that he will be leaving this month, potentially on a loan, and then maybe something permanent in summer. But I don't think he's got a spot here anymore. So no match preview this week. Like I said, we got 11 days or something like that until we play Spurs. So away at Spurs for the FA Cup. Yes, January 26th. So 11 days from now. And we've never scored at Spurs, and I think this is the time we do it. It's kind of the perfect storm, in all honesty. I think we're at a time where we're finally starting to hit our stride, and if we want to defend our treble, we have to do it. So I'd expect us to score. I expect us to win. I'm not buying into this that we can't win or score away at Spurs. No better time than now, in all honesty. So I'd expect us to come out fighting, and we all know, all the players know, players are hungry, their players are fighting. They want 4 in a row. It's on the wall in their training room. No team has ever won 4 consecutive Premier League titles yet. So let's get rid of that yet, and let's make it happen. So like I said, Liverpool and Arsenal haven't played yet, so we don't have our game in hand with them right now. We're 2 points off of Liverpool. We are level with Villa with a game in hand, 3 points up on Arsenal, equal on matches until they play, and we are up 3 points on Spurs and have a game in hand on them. So I think we're in a good spot. I think we can pull this off. There's a long season to go, and we're finally starting to hit our full stride and get everyone back healthy. And it looks like we're in a position that we can go on and do what we do. Let's continue to break these records. But just a few more things to go over. When I was out last week and sick and everything like that, I didn't spend too much time on Twitter, but I know there was a lot of fans upset about Walker being our captain, even with De Bruyne back. I get it. I get why people are upset. I get where Walker's been. But we got to remember what he's been for us and how great of a player he's been for us. Having a little bit of an off season to the start, I'm attributing that all to his personal issues, like I said, and I think he'll come back and be great. But at the end of the day, and I don't know if people always understand this, and I'm not trying to make this a big thing or anything like that. It's just in my experience in playing, it doesn't matter who's wearing the captain's band. Leaders are going to lead, and there's some people with the captain's band who don't lead. Uh, a band on your arm has nothing to do with whether or not you're a leader. Leadership comes from within and comes from each player. Whether or not Diaz is wearing the band, he's going to be a leader. And same thing with De Bruyne, and probably the same thing with Walker, in all honesty, because he was voted by the team. He was voted to be captain by the team, and in those scenarios, we aren't in there. We aren't with the team. We aren't with them every single day. We don't see how Walker acts and how he is around them. So for us to say that, oh, he shouldn't be, we're not there. We're not at the base level. We're not at the ground level. So we don't get to see it every single day. I trust our players. I trust Pep. And if they didn't feel like he was a fit captain, he wouldn't be. So it's no issue for me. Like I said, leaders are going to lead. Whether Walker is a vocal leader or a lead by example kind of guy or whatever, there's different ways of leading, and it doesn't always have to be vocal leadership, big, strong. I feel like everyone looks to the guys like Diaz who are there and they're encouraging players on the field and stuff like that. There are other ways to lead. There's plenty of ways to lead a team. You got the guys like that, but you got the guys who are a little more laid back with it, and maybe are they just doing it in the locker room or whatever, behind the cameras where we don't see that stuff. So I think it's fine. People are overreacting to something that's not a big deal, and I think it's perfectly fine that Walker is our captain. Moving on to the FIFA Best Awards. I think that's what they're called. I don't even know. FIFA Awards for the year. Pep won Best Coach. Ederson won Best Keeper. No surprises there. Both well deserved. The question I have is how Ederson won Best Keeper and then was not in the World 11. Doesn't make sense. Deserved to be. He deserved to win, to be in that position. He was the best keeper, and he's very underrated. I don't know how he's won so many things. He does incredible for Brazil. He does incredible for us, and he's shown that he's increasing. He's shown that he is perfecting his skill. He's working to become better. He's working on himself, and that's all you can ask for, right? We have a keeper at the top level, and we didn't have the best thing before him, and he's been incredible since. Bravo didn't work out the best when he was there. Obviously, we had Joe Hart before that, who I think was incredible and an all-time City great. So, but Ederson for me is just so much. He's so much better, in all honesty, than Joe Hart ever was. And I that's no insult to Joe Hart. That's just how great Ederson is. So, well deserved. All of our players being in there. I don't know how Rodri didn't make it. I don't get too upset with these awards. It's because it's a lot of popularity contest. Messi's still winning awards for a World Cup that was over a year ago. So it is what it is, and that's all. So that's all I got for you guys this weekend or this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with me through all my sicknesses. I'll try to stay healthy for the next couple of weeks here. But I don't expect there to be an episode next week unless something majorly happens, maybe in the transfer window or something, if we go off and sign players, and I don't expect that to happen. But I expect no episode next week. We'll be back the week after the Spurs match, and then we will be back into the thick of it, ready to go with all our matches hitting full stride again and getting back going in crunch time and all these competitions. So looking forward to it. I think we're in a good spot, and I think we're going to continue to, really excel and move forward. So thank you guys for listening. As always, any questions, comments, concerns, anything you got from me, you know how to get a hold of me. Citizens Fancast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Podcast is available to listen on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google. I think that's all of them. So tell your friends. Still listeners going up every single week. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell strangers on the street to give me a listen. And I appreciate you guys listening. It means a lot to me. So still got some cool things that I'm thinking on. I'm just waiting for to get a few more listeners to make it all that better for you guys. So thank you guys for listening and continuing to listen week in and week out. And I will see you in 2 weeks. So see you guys next time.